We would like to thank you for coming to our August meeting of the Atoka Board of Mayor and Alderman. My name is Mayor Barry Aiken. On behalf of the board and the Town of Atoka staff, I would like to again welcome you here tonight. We do appreciate that each of you is taking time out of your own personal schedules to see how your town government works. When you came in here tonight, there are two sign-up sheets. One of them is kind of an attendance sheet, just kind of a record of your being here. And if we need to get back to you for anything, gives us your address. The other one is for a public comment. If you are here tonight and you wish to address the board, you need to be sure that you have signed that public comment sheet. And at a certain part of our meeting, there will be time for you to come to the podium. We'd ask that you would state your name and your address, and then you'll have 2 minutes to address the board. We do limit you to 2 minutes. For most people, this should be more than enough time for you to kind of state your issue or your case. And a lot of times we have multiple people, and that gives everybody a chance to have time to address the board. Once the public comment portion is over, the board will proceed with the remainder of the evening's agenda. Of course, you are welcome to stay and observe. Again, we ask that you remember we're doing the people's business here tonight. It is a very important responsibility for us all. And again, we are welcoming you to this, our meeting, and we are very glad that you're here. For those of you that are in attendance and would like to join us in our opening prayer, I would ask at this time that you would stand. We have Mr. Aubrey King from Gateway Baptist Church is going to lead us in our prayer, and then afterwards we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Aubrey.
Father in heaven, we have been asked to come to your throne of grace tonight and pray over these leaders of our city and the needs of our city, and we're glad to do that. We are glad that there is God in heaven who does intervene in the affairs of men. So we pray for wisdom for these leaders tonight. We pray that you would bless them with the decisions that they have to make about our infrastructure, important things out there that need to be done. So we pray that you would bless our city. We thank you for the peace that we observe and that we live in. We thank you for these folks that serve us, for the police, for these dear ladies here in the office that see to our needs every day, answering phones and dispatching and solving problems. So we pray your blessing on this meeting tonight. We pray for your help. We thank you for having blessed us here too, and we pray that you will continue to do that. We ask in our Savior's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, today is August 8th. I have the time at 7:03 p.m. and I would ask the town reporter to call us, do a roll call, please, Ms. Town Reporter.
All right, we have Mayor Aiken.
Here.
Alderman Pace.
Here.
Alderman Hodges.
Here.
Alderman Feldmayer.
Here.
Alderman Giannini.
Here, ma'am.
Alderwoman Renfro. Here. Alderman Schaefer.
Here.
Thank you.
We do have everyone present. We do have a quorum to conduct business tonight. Now moving to the minutes. We have 2 minutes on your agenda. We have a regular board meeting, Exhibit A, in the packet.
Motion to approve Exhibit A. Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Feldmayer to approve the minutes from the public hearing on July 11th. I have a second by Alderman Giannini. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are accepted in the record. Exhibit B, we have a special called meeting that took place on August 1st.
Motion to approve Exhibit B.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Feldmayer, a second by Alderman Pace. All in favor of accepting the minutes of the special meeting in the record, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And those are accepted also. Item 3 on your agenda, financial report.
I'll make a motion, the financial report be approved. Second.
Motion by Alderman Feldmayer and a second by Alderman Giannini to accept the financial report presented. Any discussion or questions about that? Hearing none.
Good to see the water and sewer where they're at. So.
Okay. Want any more detail about that, Alderman Harvey?
No, I'll send the bottom.
Yes, it was good. I concur. All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of accepting the financial report as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Pressing on. Report from committees. Do we have any committees that wish to give us a report tonight?
Mr. Mayor, the Public Safety Committee met. I did not finish a detailed report, but basically we talked about just how things are going in the department in general.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
The Public Works Committee met. I forgot all about doing minutes, mainly because we were on a field trip, but we went and saw the Main Street and the meter in Mumford. That's pretty much what we did.
Was it enlightening?
It smelled. So yeah, it was very, very enlightening.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll take those comments. Just realize we do have committees working, meeting quite often on your behalf, doing the town's business. And that's why we always like to give a report to you, the citizens. Item 4, old business. We have none on the agenda, so we will press on to item 5, new business, and we have a presentation. I will turn it over to Chief Rudolph.
Yes, sir. Today we have a very special person with us today. Someone who has been with the police department. He was certainly here when I got here, and he's been here for many years. He's served a lot of communities in our Mid-South area. And as of late, I think Chief Poole had him assigned to the DEA task force, and I continued that assignment. But before I say a few words, I've got a couple of people here that would like to say a few words on his behalf, but we're talking about Investigator Dan Jones, who's here with us tonight with his wife. So if I could, I'm going to call forward Scotty Lashley first with the Fraternal Order of Police.
Thank you, Chief. We could talk about somebody shooting a radio in a DTF car right after he started, or we could talk about when we worked at the sheriff's office and he was yelling at me because I wouldn't get off the phone, but I was on the phone with Poncho, who said, hand the phone to Sergeant Jones. But we're not going to talk about any of that tonight. I've known Dan and worked with him for over 25 years. He was an asset to the sheriff's office. I think he was an asset to the city of Atoka. Many people don't know that there was a case that was a lady murdered in Shelby County, and her body was found in Fayette. Dan was part of the dive team that went diving in the lakes and ultimately recovered her body. Dan does not like to be bragged on. Dan likes to be in the back of the room and not to be talked about. But anybody that's got 34 years in deserves to be talked about at least once. And I've been a friend with Dan. Dan has served, starting out, I believe, with the Bolivar Police Department, and then going to the task force, then coming to the sheriff's office. Dan and I had the unfortunate duty of locking up a young man who shot and killed a Fayette County deputy many years ago. That man may or may not tripped and fell in the elevator, but we're not going to talk about that either. But Dan and I have been through many things together. He's a great man. I wish him luck in his retirement. And on behalf of all of the police agencies in the county and the Fraternal Order of Police in the state of Tennessee, I want to say congratulations and well done.
Thank you, Scotty. In addition, I'd like to pull forth the first chief of Atoka, Jesse Poole, for a few comments as well.
Thank you. It's hard to follow Scotty. I hired Dan, and I've known Dan way before I hired him, but.
And he still hired him.
Still hired him. Dan was with the task force since 1990, I believe it was. Anyway, he was also we were the first agency, and he was the first law enforcement full-time Tipton County to be assigned to the DEA task force out of Memphis. That was quite an honor. But I'm gonna say something about Dan a lot of folks don't know. Compassion. He comes off sometimes real bristle, but he's compassion. He's got it. We've cried together, we've laughed together, we've done a lot of things together. But if they called me and said, hey, we need to start a new department somewhere, we've got issues, Dan would be one of the first ones I'd call to go with me. He'd be a handful of folks. That's just how I feel about it. He does like to sit back, way back, but I gotta tell you, him, and of course, we lost Randall Robbins a couple of years ago. Those two were detrimental to keeping the drug activity down in this county, on the south end especially, in the 2000s. I can tell you that right now, because the word was out there on the street, don't come to Atoka and deal drugs. Him and Randall, we're gonna lock you up. And they locked many folks up. They were good at what they did. He's humble, but he's done undercover work. He's done a little bit of everything in law enforcement. He's worked murder cases. He's worked child abuse cases. And that probably is one of the hardest things to do. But with that in mind, Dan, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to have worked with you, and known you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and I took the liberty of writing my words down because if not, we'll be here a lot longer. So if you forgive me for a second, I'm going to turn my back because I really want to present to Dan. So Dan Jones is a great pillar for our community and the police department. He's established as someone from our community who can be trusted from the police department in that perspective. He's just done a wonderful job with us over the years with the PD and especially throughout law enforcement community in Tipton County. Dan started his law enforcement career, was it in Moscow, Tennessee though? Bolivar or Moscow, because I may have it wrong. Moscow, so in 1987 I believe it was. And from there he worked in the Bolivar community and later in the Tipton County Sheriff's Office. He was hired with us in Atoka in 2007, where he's remained until his retirement here on July 10th of this year. What many people do not know is that Dan was one of the first people, like the chief said, outside of Shelby County that was called to serve as part of the DEA task force. He served on that task force for a large part of his career and has gained a lot of respect from those within the drug enforcement community. It certainly is a bittersweet experience to have worked with Dan and now to see him depart. I received a message from the resident agent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration for the Memphis Field Office, Miss Lauren Carney, and I quote her, "In 2008, Officer Dan Jones was assigned to the United States Drug Enforcement Administration's Memphis Resident Office through a new DEA task force position given to the 25th Drug Task Force. Dan was the first task force officer assigned to the DEA Memphis from a department outside of Shelby County. Dan served as the 25th DTF Drug Task Force agent assigned all the way through 2011. In 2019, Dan returned back to the DEA Federal Drug Task Force for a second tour as a task force officer. Dan is the only 25th Drug Task Force officer or agent to serve 2 tours at the DEA. Dan served 4 years and returned to the Atoka Police Department in 2023. While assigned to the DEA, Dan was involved in countless surveillance and undercover operations. Dan participated in hundreds of federal drug arrests and several large asset seizures, to include a notable $1 million seizure during his tour there. Dan Jones, or DJ as he was affectionately known, was well-liked and always willing to help with any operation or duty for the task force. Dan is already missed, and we wish him all the best in a well-deserved retirement. DJ, thank you for your service to law enforcement and the DEA Memphis Federal Drug Task Force. Signed, Lauren Carney. You see, there comes a time in everyone's life where you must evaluate what the next chapter in life looks like. Dan and I have had those discussions, and it's clear that the chapter that means the most to him is his family. We in the police world have one major goal that we all share. This goal does not matter what color you are, what age you are, how long you have served, or what rank you have attained. This goal is the same for each of us who wear the badge. The goal is to come home safely every day. This day, this retirement, is just a chance to know that he finally made it safely and is going to get to come home every night. His impact he has made on the Atoka, the Tipton County, and the Mid-South communities will be immeasurable. But from the bottom of our hearts, Dan, or DJ, we thank you. So Dan, the part I think you're not going to like the most is we want you to come forward. Because we're going to do a presentation for you. Captain Elwood, Lieutenant, Mr. Mayor. Oh, all the way in the front center this time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Come on, Dana.
We're going to call your wife up here too for pictures as well.
Balance you out a little bit.
Yeah,
His wife's coming.
Okay. Need to add a little color in there.
Yes. You'll make all this sploosh pop. So Dan, or Mr. Mayor, I'm going to let you have the honor of this.
Right. So, well, can I just say that this, as the chief said, to lose this level of knowledge and expertise is a bittersweet experience. And as the former mayor, Darrell, would say, I know you probably took us to the next level. And for that, I am truly appreciative. And I know that we cannot at all know the impact that you made during your tenure. And we are truly, and Mrs. Dan, I think we all need to give you applause here.
Absolutely.
Also. So we have this beautiful award. It says, presented to Dan Jones, Atoka Police Department, October 1st, 2007, July 10th, 2023, a dedicated law enforcement for over 30 years. Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, buddy. All right, you got smile good there.
Sorry, for a second. It's just that thing. Sorry, guys.
And as put into place by my predecessor, for serving the amount of years that you've given to this community, we wanted to issue you your service revolver, your Glock that you earned. We appreciate you.
You got the floor.
Oh. I don't have the words. It's just been great working for Atoka. I come from Frazier. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Frazier in Memphis.
Everybody came from Frazier eventually.
Like everybody, like me and Chief went to the same Brookmead Elementary School together. Oh, I'm a little older. I don't have the words, guys. This is incredibly, as a young person would say, incredibly awesome. I don't have the words, really. Yeah. The people that live in this town, I'm glad y'all are here to take care of this town. This is a great town. I'm telling you guys, growing up in Memphis and working all around the state and in other states, this is a great town. Be proud of it, please. I know sometimes we want more, but this is a good town. These are some good people, really good people. They're very kind, very gentle. Take your time, busy schedule out to honor me. Again, I don't have the words. I just don't have the words. Thank y'all so much. Love y'all like brothers and sisters. That's all I can say.
Thank you for sharing. Dan, thank you again, and I just hope that you enjoy your retirement as much as I can tell you've enjoyed your law enforcement career. Yes, sir. All right, next in our agenda, we have first consideration of Title I, Chapter 1, Section 102, Exhibit D.
Pardon, Mayor. You
Yep.
have the presentation.
I skipped some stuff, didn't I? All right, we have a presentation, Atoka Softball Scholarship Awards.
The girls want to go ahead and, y'all want to go ahead and come up here. Maggie too. Turn it on. There we go. All right, ladies, I'm going to introduce you both and then we'll do the awards, okay? Tonight we have two young ladies. Every year the Atoka Softball Board, two of our members are here. We have Kurt Devon and Bobby Owen, and then we have Maggie Johnson, who is our programs coordinator here at the town of Atoka. Every year they give a $500 scholarship to two seniors that are in our softball program, and this year we have two that they have selected. First we have Sage Pikey. She started playing for Atoka at the age of 4 and played travel ball. She graduated from Brighton High School this year. This past summer she interned with the Memphis Redbirds. And lastly, she'll be going to UT Chattanooga in the fall to major in sports management. Next, we have Riley Patterson. She started playing when she was 8 years old. She graduated from Mumford High School this year. She started working for Atoka Parks and Rec this past summer, and I may say she's one of our very good employees. She will be going to Dyersburg State in the fall for business, but would like to do something in Parks and Rec also. So that makes me proud as a Parks and Rec director that we got a couple girls that wanted to follow the lead. All right, first we have Riley Patterson. Let her. And then we have Sage Pikey. And then we'll do a couple more pictures too. And then, Mayor, do you want to come
Yeah,
down?
I'm
Let's
just
take a
wondering-
picture with
I
everybody.
definitely want to be in that, yes.
I'm gonna present. I'm gonna go ahead and present.
Yeah, go ahead.
Stage and who's right?
I would say.
Okay, all right. All right.
Think
So
it's
where-
tighter.
How do you want us, Mr. Photographer?
Just a little bit tighter. No, we don't have to. There she is. Hi, Dorothy. I got you. All right, we're good.
And real quick, in case she disappears on us, because she's not here often, I just wanted to say something about Maggie. She works really hard on that softball program, and we took over it a couple years ago doing the majority of the planning and coordinating. And so she is the boots on the ground there every day, and I'm super proud of all that she does. And I know the softball board also enjoys having her do a lot of the brunt work now. Now they get to be out there and enjoy it and help us on the practice nights and game nights more than doing a lot of the planning. So I just wanted to say that while she was here.
All right. Ordinances and resolutions. Tonight we have an ordinance for first consideration that has to do with Title I, Chapter 1, Section 102 of our ordinances. Mr. Town Administrator.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the ordinance before the board for consideration, essentially what it does is it changes the order of the business for the board of mayor and aldermen. You can see we've provided you with a draft copy and a markup of the changes so everyone can see what those changes were. Probably the most important change is that there's a consensus among the board to move the public comment period up to the beginning of the meeting instead of at the end. And we also, instead of it being called citizens' concerns, to be consistent with the new legislation that was passed, so we changed the terminology to public comment. So public comment would be the third order of business. Everything else largely remains the same.
All right. Do you have any objection to reading the ordinance by title only? Hearing none. Ms. Town Recorder.
An ordinance to amend Title I, Chapter 1, Section 102 of the Atoka Municipal Code related to the order of business at meetings of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
I would
Motion
entertain.
approved, Exhibit D on first reading.
We have a motion by Alderman Feldmayer. We have a second by Alderman Renfro. Any discussion as to this exhibit?
We had some communication about the possibility of maybe adding another item, and that would be what's called a consent agenda. And a consent agenda is essentially miscellaneous items such as approval of 5K runs, or when we amend the rules for the barbecue fest. And essentially it could take up to, however many miscellaneous items is one vote. Any one board member could pull anything from the consent agenda if they wanted to discuss that. But that could be something that may not be needed in every meeting, but in some meetings could speed things up. And if we're modifying with this ordinance, I think now would be the time to at least consider it.
We have a motion and a second. Does anybody wish to entertain a motion on amending the original motion? All right.
Are you making a motion to amend this?
Yeah, sure, I'll make a motion to amend.
I
Yes.
just wasn't sure where
Yes,
you're at.
well, once I want feedback from the board, yeah, I can make a motion to amend. Also adding a consent agenda on an as-needed basis.
All right, we have a motion to amend by Alderman Harper. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
You had a, Mayor, to the point of clarification, you had a motion and a second. Is the motion maker okay with the amendment?
I'll be honest, I don't even know what a consent agenda is. Sounds like a whole other agenda to me. I'll be honest. I've heard it, read it, and it's still clear as mud to me. I mean,
I'm okay with it, as long as we have the option to pull something out.
Yeah,
Without a vote.
Without a vote, no, any
If I
board
wanna
member.
pull something
can
out,
pull-
I don't expect to have to get everybody to vote on it.
No, any board member can pull anything from the consent agenda if we have for discussion.
I'm just gonna leave my motion like it is. You have two motions, so.
Okay. Oh, now we're voting on the amending the original motion.
But does,
So,
No, I'm
point
not
of
saying
he has
clarification.
an option to make an amendment to the motion.
So you've got a motion and a second.
Yes?
You're up for discussion. As I understand it, Alderman Harper made a motion to amend the original motion that has a second.
Correct.
And there needs to be a second on that.
Which I did.
Okay. And so that would be
Right.
what you're voting on.
The new motion.
Okay. So, Alderman Harper, would you restate that just so the board understands what they're voting on?
I would like to add another order of business to the meeting schedule, and that would be I don't have a particular order of when it would be, but somewhere within the meeting time, to have the ability to add a line item called a consent agenda. And any more discussion on what that exactly is?
We're going to pick a number.
Okay.
I would say 5, right before old and new business, that would be a good,
I'm good with 5.
let it roll real quick.
So we'll read number 5. In financial report, we'll pick up at 6 through 10, 6 through 11.
Yes.
Does everybody understand what you're voting on? Okay. Since this is an ordinance, we'll take a roll call on the vote of this. Alderman Giannini?
Yes.
Alderman Renfro?
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Feldman?
Yes.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Pace?
Yes.
All right. Let's get down here. Ordinance carries. We should press on to Exhibit E in your packet. This is the first consideration of zoning ordinance and map. Mr. Town Administrator?
I believe you've got Ms. Shelley here to
Yes.
discuss this ordinance, and if assistance is needed, I think you've got Jim and Amanda here to provide some information. But at last night's planning commission meeting, the planning commission made a favorable recommendation to the board of mayor and aldermen to accept the, or approve the planning ordinance. You could take any questions that the board might have. There's a few minor adjustments which I believe were made and completed. There still needs to be a couple of coloring components to the map, which will be ready for the final consideration at the next meeting.
So I was gonna bring that up. At the planning commission meeting, there were some minor changes. They are incorporated into what the board is voting on. Okay.
All the changes that were recommended, because your motion was with modifications, those modifications were made. And I think there's some, just a minor, it's not a legal thing, it has to do with the color of the zones in the actual ordinance, so. And the map. And what? Oh, right, yeah, and the numbering, but again, doesn't affect the substantive part of the ordinance.
Ms. Shelley or Amanda, or basically anybody that has gone through the process, would you like to kind of elaborate on why we're modifying and we have this new ordinance in front of us?
I'll be happy to.
Please come up to the podium so everybody can hear you, Ms. Shelley.
Okay, thank you so much. As you all know, Atoka went through a comprehensive planning process, and that from the 2 years that I was here as a consulting planner, that was something I saw was desperately needed. We were constantly trying to tweak ordinances and get things where they needed to be, but that what was lacking was the vision that was informed by the public. And that was the main thing, is for the people of the community to say what they want and how they want Atoka to grow and develop. So the zoning code, it was designed to follow like a thread, like a conversation thread you'd have in texting or whatever else you might have. It follows the thread from the comprehensive plan. So it was reorganized, it was reformatted, and also was designed to follow the place types that were established in the comprehensive plan. So that this is what I just call the working part. The plan is the vision and the drive for the city, and then the ordinances that follow, they implement that, and they put some teeth and some specificity to that. And so that's what the zoning code is, and that's why there's a change in that. There's some streamlining. I remember having to do many searches through, because there would be provisions that would be located all over the ordinance. And so in order to keep things straight for staff reports, and now those things are now consolidated. It went from 19 articles to 10, which is helpful. So all of those things are good, and I had a chance to read through the ordinance this weekend, and very happy with certainly provisions like the Atoka Town Center, which from the very beginning, when I was working here, I said, this is the spark, this is the extra commercial development that's not being met, and on highway commercial, an opportunity to to build economic development for the community. I'm so happy to see that, that's in the ordinance. And now builders and developers can come to town and help develop that vision. So we're happy to see it.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. Alderman Harper, you're on the planning commission with myself. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, again, there's just, like we talked about last night, it's gonna be a change for me too, when we go from R1 to R2 to the SN10 and SN8. We've talked about R1 and R2 for forever, and even things like the front setback changing to build line. And so I'm embracing these. This is essentially what, when the public essentially allowed us, and came and provided their feedback in multiple online forums, and I think even one that was, a snowstorm and, an ice storm, and they showed up, the public showed up for Atoka on Track. And Atoka on Track cannot come into vision, into fruition. It will just be a piece of paper, that collects dust unless we follow up with this vote tonight. So this is the meat and potatoes, and I'm excited. So, and a lot of work. Thank you, Shelley. You started this, and Jim. Yep. So.
I would just add, again, probably reiterating exactly what has been said. So this all started with our Orion Planning Group and our long-range 20-year plan. This is kind of a next phase of bringing our zoning ordinances up to speed, up to date, to align with that plan. There's been a lot of eyeballs looking this over. There's been a lot of work sessions as far as the Planning Commission. I believe you have a great document in front of you. Probably not perfect, but very, very minor things if there is any inadequacy in it, and we can always modify that later. But it is a recommendation from the Planning Commission that this board approves the exhibit. So, you need to add anything to that?
No, sir.
All right, do I have any objection to reading this by title only? Hearing none, it's time recorded.
An ordinance to amend Title 14, Chapter 2, Section 201 of the Atoka Municipal Code related to the zoning ordinance of Atoka, Tennessee.
Make a motion Exhibit E be approved on first reading.
Second.
Have a motion by Alderman Feldmayer, have a second by Alderman Harper. As has been stated, this is the first consideration. There will be a second consideration in next month's meeting. We will, since this is an ordinance, we will take a roll call vote. Alderman Pace.
Yes.
Alderman Harper.
Yes.
Alderman Feldmayer.
Yes.
Alderman Giannini.
Yes.
Alderman Renfro.
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer.
Yes.
Ordinance does carry on this first consideration. Exhibit F in your packet is next to tonight's meeting. This is our modifying our policy on public meetings. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, sir, and on the prior item, the board should be recognized as well, because the board is the one who committed the funds. They took the bold stance to say, hey, we recognize that we need this long-range comp plan, that the town's gonna move forward. So, those of you that were on the board at the time deserve a pat on the back as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you for reminding me of that.
The Exhibit F that you have in front of you tonight is just amending the policy on the broadcasting of the public meetings and the public comment period. Public comment period is not changing. Essentially, the biggest change is that we're changing the terminology from citizen concerns to public comment.
Make a motion Exhibit F be approved.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Feldmayer, I have a second by Alderman Renfro. Any discussion on Resolution Exhibit F in your packets? Hearing none, this is a resolution. All in favor of approving Resolution Exhibit F, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Exhibit G in your packet is a resolution for fee structure. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, sir. Exhibit G in front of you is a consideration that seeks to revise the town's fee structure, which was previously adopted a month or two ago. There was some discussion amongst board members that they wanted to make some revisions to the fee schedule and permit requirements. What's included in your agenda memo, and if it's okay, I'll just read from that because I think that encapsulates what the changes are. One is fence permits, so it's a change of an existing fence's previously established footprint and/or relocation of any posts. A new fence permit is required for a new fence installation. The maximum height of a fence permitted in a residential zoning district will be 7 feet tall, and no fence permit will be required for any fence repair, provided there is no relocation of posts. Demolition permits was another item that was brought up. So any demolition on any building structure constructed prior to 1990, you would need a demolition permit. You'd need a demolition permit for the demolition of an entire building structure, regardless of the construction date. You'd need a demolition permit for the demolition of and/or the removal of or the relocation of any load-bearing walls or supports, but you would not need a demolition permit for a building structure constructed after 1990 that does not remove and/or relocate any load-bearing walls or supports. Additionally, the board directed that they would like to remove all of the administrative fees from all permits. I believe that captures it all.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator.
Motion Exhibit G be approved.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Feldmayer, a second by Alderman Hayes. Any discussion? Hearing none, as this is a resolution, we'll take it as a group vote. All in favor of Exhibit G, resolution being approved, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Moving on, Exhibit H in your packet, resolution approving a grant application. This is with Public Entity Partners, our insurance firm. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, sir. This is a grant application. It's approving an application. It doesn't mean that we will get it, but there's a high likelihood that we will. With consideration to submit a grant application to Public Entity Partners, which would provide for several new bullet-resistant vests for police officers. It does carry a 50% grant match. Staff would recommend approval.
Chief, you got anything to add?
Motion Exhibit H be approved.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Feldmayer, I have a second by Alderman Harper. Any other questions or discussions? All in favor of Exhibit H being approved, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Exhibit I, approving an agreement for flock safety cameras.
Okay. So you have an agreement in front of you for flock safety cameras. I know that Chief Rudolph can elaborate if there's any questions for him specifically, but flock safety cameras are up for renewal, and they are allowing existing customers to lock in at the current maintenance fee rate. The rate is going up $500 per unit, so we've got 6 cameras currently, so that would be, we lock in for the 5 years, it'll save us $3,000 per year, so over the 5-year period of time, it'll be a $15,000 savings. I'm not sure where there will be on any kind of new cameras, maybe Chief can elaborate, but that in essence is just entering into the agreement for the 5-year period of time at the current rate.
Make a motion Exhibit I be approved.
Second.
A motion by Alderman Feldmayer, have a second by Alderman Pace. Any questions? Okay. All in favor of approving resolution Exhibit I, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Miscellaneous items of new business. We have a report on debt obligation. This is Exhibit J in your packets. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, sir. This is just an information only. It covers the disbursement of the $500,000 capital outlay note that was funded and received by the town on August the 1st. It's a matter of information. There's no action needed on this item. Comptroller requires it to be on the agenda and submit it to the board. So there, we have received the funds, and I know vehicle purchases are underway. So that is it. It's just an awareness and information to the board.
All right. Any questions, any discussion? As the administrator said, this is kind of a total transparency. we've already, I've signed this, and the comptroller wants to make sure it's put in the record that y'all are aware of this. So, all in favor? I don't think we need to do anything with this, just a matter of information. Okay, I caught myself, good. Exhibit I. Nope. Appointment to an Industrial Development Board, Mr. Chris Dedge. Mr. Chris, last name, say it for me one more time.
Deitch.
Deitch. And it's one of the things the mayor gets to do is to make appointments, and as hopefully y'all are aware, we are created an industrial development board to act as a liaison between business development and this official body. The industrial development board can, they're empowered to do things that we cannot as a town. If somebody were to approach us about setting up their business in Atoka. And I'll just give you an excellent example. Pretty much everything you see that is coming to Millington, that is because of the Industrial Development Board in Millington. And that says it all. We have appointed previously 6 individuals from our town, various aspects, anywhere from realtor to small business entrepreneurs. We have a wide variety, and in fact, I will tell you, we have been congratulated on the depth and the breadth of the people that we have asked to serve on our industrial development. Mr. Chris, to be no less, I talked to him just for a short amount of time, and he is a very energetic person. You get immediate talking to him. He is going to be retiring October 1st, Master Chief, 34 years with the Navy. Just highly recommended by the Millington IDB. He has been following everything going on there. I asked him to serve, and he wholeheartedly agreed, and just a very good individual to talk to, exciting to be around him for a few minutes, and you'll catch the energy off of him. But it would be my recommendation that we appoint Chris Dedge to the 7th position of the Industrial Development Board. And you don't have to do
I'll
it.
make a motion.
You do?
Approve.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Feldmayer made the motion, and Alderman Renfro made the second. All in favor of this appointment, Mr. Chris, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Chris, would you like to get up and say something?
Thank you, Mayor. One of the riskiest things you can ever do is ask a Navy man if he wants to get up and talk. This is an incredible opportunity. I just want to thank you and the rest of the board for this opportunity. Atoka is our home. We were born elsewhere, but the Navy brought us here to Tennessee, but we chose to stay in Atoka as our home because we believe in this town and all the people in it. And I hope to contribute and continue to make this the greatest city to live in the United States.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. All right, we have come to departmental reports.
I'll make a motion, we accept the departmental reports.
That will be all the
Second.
departmental reports.
All the departmental reports.
All right. Do we have any questions concerning any particular departmental report? Well, hold on, you made a motion, do we have a second?
Yeah.
To accept. We have a motion by Alderman Feldmayer, we have a second by Alderman Giannini. Do we have any discussion, any question for our department heads? All in, go ahead, Mr. Chris, sorry.
Mark, I'd reached out to you and Dorothy, you may be able to answer this about the walkway from the parking lot to Nancy Lane. I don't know
I'd let Dorothy answer that.
Oh,
Is
yes.
that little part of the fence we were talking about?
Yes, I've spoke with ABC Fence, and he's gonna build us a little bridge to put over it, and Danny's gonna pay for it, because he already said he would. I think he so I do actually think ABC Fence is gonna donate it, so I'm working on it. I should be able to have something there here soon.
Thank you.
I'll just go ahead and throw this in right now. The parking lots look great. They really do.
So exciting, makes me
I've
so
seen
pretty.
more people parking there than ever before, so that's doing what its job is. One question, on the other side, Will they come in off Kearns? Are we still gonna be allowing people to park down there?
So during soccer season, yes, we do have it, they do park behind that 18U field, and that's still additional grass parking. But we may get to veer a little more away from it, because now that it's paved, we can normally it was like hoping they figured out how to park in those gravel lots. Now we'll have actual parking spaces, so we'll be able to utilize all the space like we're supposed to. But that'll always be available.
I wasn't suggesting one way or the other, I was just curious. Thank you.
So, sometimes on Saturdays, we even need that parking
Yeah.
too, because there's a lot of people that come out there.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second to accept all the departmental reports. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Departmental reports are accepted in the record. We come to item 7 on your agenda tonight, miscellaneous items from the mayor and the board of aldermen and the town administrator. I'll go first. The only thing I have is the October board meeting, which is October 10th. That is fall break for our school system. And I would ask the board if they would like to continue to meet October 10th, or would we want to change that to maybe the 17th? Realizing that we might have staff or board members that will be doing something for fall break.
Mayor, if I can interject, you're welcome to reschedule it to the 17th, but the Boys and Girls Club Steak and Burger Dinner is the 17th, and I'm in charge of it, so I will not be able to attend on the 17th.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, I kinda like to have this.
But you're all
We need to get the
invited.
steak and burger.
Well, I'm pleased to report that Coach Joel Fulmer is our speaker, and he will be coming in and doing some special things, so you're all invited.
What are your thoughts? Y'all can keep it on the 10th or move it, and it doesn't have to be the 17th, we can move it up one. Tends to make it a little harder on staff.
One way or the other, so whatever you want.
Oh, whatever.
You wanna go the first Tuesday, you can just go the 5th?
The only problem with that is it's a little harder for staff to get reports together, or if we move it earlier. So.
Sounds like we need to
You
keep it
could
on
do
the
it
10th.
the Thursday
Yeah.
of the week of the 19th instead of the 17th, just move it a day, Monday or Wednesday,
I think it'll still be fall break that whole week.
the next.
Oh, you're
one.
saying the next
Next
week?
week.
Okay. 19th?
Sure.
All right.
The
19th,
19th is a Thursday, right?
that's what we've been told, yes.
I don't like the idea of moving the regular meetings to a different date.
So you like to keep it on Tuesdays? Yeah.
I'd say just leave it on the 10th.
I agree.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's good.
make it easier.
all right. That's all I had.
I've got something.
Somebody can't.
Where are we at with Pioneer Park? Cause the grass is tall, the hole is getting humongouser.
So at that meeting that
creative that word.
yeah, no, it looks terrible.
Would you
At
come to the
that,
podium, Ms. Dorothy, please?
at that, pipe meeting, I forget what it was called exactly that we were with, Ben had told me that I should receive something very soon, but I have not been given an exact date. So they're working on the bid packet so I can put it out to get fixed. At this time, we're draining it. I did get the go ahead to open the pipe up to go ahead and drain it as much as possible, because in order to fix it, it has to have the least amount of water in it. So then, of course, it causes all that growth. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. As soon as I cut it down, it's just going to come right back. But the plan is when they do fix it, there should be enough money left in that amount to get. What we're talking about now is trying to find a smaller, maybe like landscaping type company that has smaller equipment to come in and dredge some of it out and clean it out real good. So just as soon as we can get it fixed, we can get it back to looking like it should. It's just taken a while.
It's Ben's fault. I ain't shaking his head, yes.
Oh, I didn't know you were here. You have an update on that?
Ben, I need you to come to the podium.
You told me you were soon, so I didn't know when.
She did great. So, truth be told, Dorothy covered that great. And she's exactly right. We're not quite done with it, and I'm gonna tell you that I am the holdup. So I've been doing some other things which are due by midnight tonight.
Yes.
And then I'm supposed to review something and get it back out. That's where it stands. We know what we're doing. We just gotta make sure the plans are in great shape, which I've already reviewed them once. And she's draining it, which hopefully we'll have it this time of year dry, although that is not working out right now. But I expect it to just any moment. I mean, it's August, it's supposed to dry up at some point, and then we'll get this thing knocked out. So, any specific questions about what we're gonna do?
You think we'll be able to do the coating or dig it all the way out?
So the plan is to do the coating on the pipe itself, to do grout and bentonite on the outside and seal it. That is the plan.
Okay.
So,
Dorothy, could this affect cops and bobbers? 'Cause I know we did that in the
So we
fall.
already had to decide not to do cops and bobbers this year for May, so we're just gonna come back big and strong next May.
Okay.
Thank you, Ben.
thank you guys.
Mr. Administrator, I don't see the Public Works Director here.
Is not.
Okay.
And
Do we have-
some information?
Oh, you have some, you might cover then what I'm gonna ask, so.
Yeah, it's only 3 pages, so it's single space, so I know the rest of the.
I was just gonna ask about Walker Parkway.
Well, hopefully this update will cover that, so,
Okay.
yes, Director Yarborough is, on his way to the TAUD Business Conference. I'll be heading there tomorrow, but he left me a little bit of an update for you all. The paving update on Sterling Ridge and Rosemark Road is expected to be completed by the end of the week. I know a lot of folks have been seeing a lot of activity in paving. Appreciate their patience very much, as it is an inconvenience, but, you know, there's a goal there at the end to get everything paved. He spoke with the contractor about the school traffic concerns, advised that the paving would only be done during school hours and would not affect any of the traffic flow. I know that's a concern to a lot of parents, and he has already worked with the contractor on that. Culvert updates, Bluff City Construction advised that the Walker Parkway culvert, and it is open and completed already. And those crews will be moving over to the Clare Drive culvert for replacement. Enscore Construction began work on the replacement of the Edith Lane culvert. It did run into a little bit of an issue. The water line is right above the culvert, so they're working on a workaround for that. So that's kind of delayed the project there a little bit, but staff's working on resolution for that. The Main Street lift station rebuilt pump is scheduled to be switched out this week, so hopefully we'll have everything up and functional. I believe he said Thursday, but he says this week in the memo. Public Works wants to thank the mayor and the board of aldermen for their application, which Ben alluded to. That's what is due tonight on the TDEC and the ARPA funds to do a complete upgrade to the Main Street pump station and the Kearns Force Main. So very, very big projects, and I know that Wesley and SSR have been working real hard on getting those things figured out. We've gotten 2 letters of support from State Senator Rose and a letter of support from State Representative Moody. So hopefully that'll be helpful, but they are going to be basing this, it's needs-based, and they're going to be scoring each of the applications. So we're hopeful that we'll be awarded something there. Rock the Block. So Rock the Block, we had a little bit of a hiccup there with the weather. It's an act of God. Couldn't do much to control that. I think some of the tents and canopies went the way of the Wizard of Oz. But I did want to point out that, you know, all the staff in Public Works, Parks and Rec, they pushed forward, and everybody came together to put on a really great event. And the weather ended up turning out pretty good at the end of the day. 3 other little brief things. County Commissioner Copeland had contacted us about having a community meeting. I know that there's a very small area that 2 of our county commissioners on. Do you happen to know the district Copeland is in?
Yes, he's
No.
District 8 or 9?
8 or 9?
9? Okay.
Okay. So District 9, there's a small number of Atoka residents, but he had asked to have a community meeting. So he's going to be sending out some information, but I just thought it would be a good time to put some awareness out. It'll be August the 31st at 6 p.m. right here in the boardroom. So August 31st at 6 p.m. And we have our IDB meeting on August the 17th at 4 p.m. They'll be considering bylaws and some other documents for the Industrial Development Board, just as an awareness for that. And then our ARPA grant meeting is scheduled for August the 16th at 2 p.m. This is a meeting with community development partners, Tipton County, Munford, Brighton, and I believe Mason's involved in that as well. I'm talking about just the kind of the minutiae and the administration of the grant that's already been awarded, the non-competitive grant that we were awarded. So that's on the 16th at 2 p.m. And unless you want me to talk any longer, that's all I got for you.
Anything from the board? All right, come to public comment period of our agenda. Do we have
One.
Yeah, shoot.
Ms. Stephanie.
All right, we have Miss Stephanie Borman, 125 Atkinson Circle. Miss Stephanie, if you come up to the podium, please.
I can probably say what I need to
Well,
say right now.
We'd like to have you right there by here and get you on camera, Miss Stephanie.
Yes, dear. Stephanie Borman, 125 Atkinson Circle. I was reviewing the packet this afternoon, and the first thing I saw was where y'all wanted to move the public comments toward the beginning of the meeting. I just wanted to say thank you.
All right. Thank you, Miss Stephanie.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Any opposed?